Good morning everyone. Let me know if you can see and hear me, as always. If you'd like to ask a question, if you're here during the live stream, on the right here, ask a question to me if you like, but make sure if it's directed at me to put a whole bunch of brightly colored emojis, and then I can actually visually see it. So let me know if you can see and hear me properly. And we'll see if the chat box comes up. I'm not seeing, maybe there's just a delay, but either way, how is everyone? A lot of regulars here. Let me pop out the chat so I can read all your comments properly. Boffin, Donna, August Lion, Rocket, how are you guys? Good to see you. It's a very cold Sunday morning here. The last couple of days have been really good. Yesterday especially was a warm spring day, which is nice. So let me have my coffee. For the nerds out there. Okay, oh, the stream's coming up. Good. Your comments are coming up on screen. It's working. All right, guys. For the nerds, I'm using a Rode Pod mic going through a Rode Caster Pro audio interface using my GH5 and a 15mm f1.7 with running through Streamlabs, streaming this to you on YouTube. And the color profile is Fuji Eterna, and I've desaturated the color a bit. And as usual, we're going to be talking about the recent two videos this week. Some good responses. Yeah, I just had to make a response. I don't make response videos that often, but the Sydney nightclub one is just, I was hoping that a lot of this woke bullshit would go away after, the last couple of years of, the world trying to be adult about survival. But no, you've got a whole generation of people, they don't know anything else other than complaining on keyboards as a way to feel alive. And so when they go to a venue, they complain to feel alive in real life as well. So they don't know any other mode. Anyway. What do you do? Yeah, I was reading through the comments on the poll I put up this week, which was this. In terms of relationships, which appeals to you more? And the overwhelming was serious and long-term. It doesn't surprise me given my views and the people that subscribe to me. So my subscribers would sort of be somewhere in the ballpark of what views I have. Otherwise, why the hell would you be watching my channel? But, I also get the casual dating. I really do, guys, given the environment. I've said it before. I was done for a long time, but I was honest enough with how I felt that I closed the door, but I didn't lock it. And there was only a specific type of key that would open it. And it wasn't anything so specific that it guaranteed me being alone for the rest of my life. My main key is just a nice, decent person with some empathy, just a nice, kind person. Most women out there aren't. They get off on pain. They laugh at other people's pain. You look at the drama they're addicted to on TV. It's all pain and suffering and walking all over other people, and they can't help but watch it. So most of the people out there you can't trust them. You look at what they're addicted to. How could you trust them? They love that stuff. So, yeah. Anyway, hi to the regulars, Donna, Vero, David, Farrell, just a guy. Schlitz, Maltz Liquor, how are you? August Lion. David P, how are you, man? Nihilistic Waltz. Alonzo. Two Dogs, how are you? The Cyrillic guy. I can't read Cyrillic. I used to when I was much, much younger. But, just a guy, hi. Anyway, if you want to ask me a question, a whole bunch of emojis. Nihilistic Waltz, it seems he's got a question. With the state of dating and relationships in the modern era being overall bad for both parties, where do you see things heading in the future? I really don't have a clue. All we can do is know what we want and set our future to be that. To hell with what the world is doing. Like to sit here inert as your life goes by year after year, decade after decade, as girl power, runs rampant over the landscape, and the powers that be love keeping them in charge as a buffer to, the top of the tree, the 1%ers who kind of control the world. It's a great insulation to them, because all of the obnoxious screaming women in a lot of people's lives keep a lot of people down. They're the stormtroopers. I can't see it really. I don't know how it's going to change. I can't predict, and I don't want to. All I can do is predict how my future can be, given how determined I am to stand on my ethics today. So live in accordance with my rules, not just talk about them, but really verbalize them and choose them in real life. That's the challenge, I'd say, is to really choose the things you believe in. Don't make them just talk. Actually, the chat stream here is actually coming up nicely. I like that. I picked a new view, so that's pretty nice. Yeah, so I would say, I think I nailed the look of the profile today. I like this one. Anyway, yeah, do what you have to do for the hygiene of your own life, and those dials you can twist. What you're going to say, which girl you're going to say no and yes to, and maybe go on a date, and be very pragmatic and mature about things. Don't be like a lot of extremists out there in the dating world, where you've got these absolute 10 rules, and a woman has to be in your frame 100%, and if she's not, she's out. So basically, you want a doll that you program to say and do whatever she wants, and you're really not looking for compatibility. You're really just looking for someone to mirror you rather than compatibility. A lot of the dating advice out there, which a lot of it is kind of based on, well, not letting another person take an advantage of you, which I fully respect. But the mode in which you do it is, well, I'm going to have someone who can never say anything back to me I don't like, so I'm going to get another version of myself. It's very self-referential. It's very solipsistic. You're not really relating to another person. I advocate finding compatibility with someone who's like you, not who is you, but who is like you in core values. Like, look at your best friends that you naturally, organically choose, but you have so much in common in terms of temperament and your ethics and beliefs and moral code in life. I'm pretty sure our best friends have a similar moral code to us. That's why we can talk to them about a lot of stuff. That's why we can hang out all the time. That's why we can spend an enjoyable weekend camping or getaway with the guys. Different personalities, but on the whole, your best friends, and hopefully if you've got a good family circle, the people that understand you, even though you're all different. I don't know anyone in my life who's like me, even 80% like me. I'd be lucky maybe one person might be 60 to 70%, not even, I'd say 50% really. But there's also, you dial it down to specific areas. There's some people in my life, I can have really great philosophical conversations, and they've got different views to me, but we really enjoy that. So we're 90% similar in that area. You're not going to be 90% similar in everything. You are looking for yourself. I remember, I love that line in Solaris where I think I'm paraphrasing. It says, we go out trying to explore other galaxies, but it's a sham. We're not looking for other worlds. We're looking for mirrors. And that's what a lot of guys do. There's a very distinct difference between looking for a mirror and looking for fair and honest, relatable compatibility, where somebody has a respect that you're different, but in terms of the rules in which you conduct yourself with someone, like politeness and manners and things like that, you could be very different to me. But if you're kind, you've got sympathy, you can let me have my point of view, but you let me speak, I let you speak, we listen. You can get along with someone who's not very much like you, but the cause of that, the social aspect that we used to have much more of out there before, used to allow us to get along much more. It used to allow couples that were vastly different. In today's age, they wouldn't even get together. But before, you had the baseline of civil respectability, live and let live, golden rule. And there are some couples that are happy and they respected each other. They were together, in their whole lives. And yeah, they might look at their partner and say, yeah, I wish she was better looking, or I wish she had more money. I wish, you could add another 20% to make your partner perfect. But perfection, I can't remember the saying, that the perfection is the enemy of something. It's kind of like chasing after perfection will just keep you lonely and miserable and frustrated. There's realistic compatibility. There's realistic comfort. But running after perfection, to me, it's a fool's errand. Like a lot of the guys like Boffin here that I chat to on Discord, great guy, and he's different to me, but we can talk for a long time and get along. And there's so many people, Karu and Rocket, and just so many guys I talk to online and offline. No one's like me. No one's like you. But it's the civil respectability. And you don't even have that baseline with most women today. They start on dates not liking you. You are someone who's guilty, who needs to prove to them you're innocent before they give you zero in the path of life with them. It's kind of like you haven't even started zero yet. You're like a -10, buddy. I'm holding you out at arm's length on a date, and I've got my arms crossed and I've got a barricade, and it's up to you to sort of punch through it with impressing me, because I've got a lot of other guys on the dating app who in my mind are perfect. So, I'm doing you a favor here. This attitude, people are just warped today. I don't envy dating today. So I fully sympathize with guys who, look, if I was trying to date today, I would probably do permanent part-time. That's what I do. And if an exception with that kind of, look, because I've got, I like permanency, consistency. I don't get off on variety. Variety can take a hike. I know what I like. Why would I let go something that I find compatible and I like? If I like her, why would I want to, I'll just find something else. I get tired of what fits me. It's like really dumb. For me, it's kind of like what I get annoyed about with women. They want security and variety, and those things oppose each other. Arvero says loud and clear in terms of my mic. I'm assuming everyone can. Rocket Scientist says audio sounds great. You need to shave. Yeah, I do, don't I? Hey, it was longer than this. I trimmed yesterday, Rocket. Yeah, I should. I do need to shave my head tonight. Recently I bought one of those, what are they called? Skull shavers. And they're great. They're convenient, but then you have to clean them every time or second time you do them. And it's just such a pain because they shave you really close. And now it's kind of like, I might as well just shave my head with a razor like I was before. Sometimes the easy thing is not convenient. Okay, so remember, guys, if you want to ask me a question, either super chat it, I'll see it definitely, or put a whole bunch of brightly colored emojis before your question if it's directed to me. Otherwise, feel free to just sit and listen and chat amongst yourselves. Donna says, would be asking someone to COD Classic in December be considered a date? Not if you kind of say, like, oh, let's just, this isn't a date, or like, oh, I wanted to ask you, my friend, to go on blah, blah. So just make it obvious. So you've objectively made it clear. I think the vagueness is what trips a lot of people up, especially guys who are in the friend zone. The woman doesn't want to offend the guy she only considers a friend, and the guy is overly optimistic, where the lack of clarity has always bothered me. I want to know where I stand. I remember the first time I was really proud of myself for standing up for what I thought and what I felt before, because like during high school, had a lot in me, but I felt embarrassed to let it out. So I just kind of kept it in. You know, I always went back to my journal and paper and my art and expressed myself openly there, but never verbally through my mouth in front of other people. And the first time I remember there was this girl that she knew I liked her. She kept me in the friend zone. I was her, you know, hanging around her and some other friends, but she knew I was into her. Friends around us kind of knew that, hey, you know, humans always like, you know, he's got a crush on her, and I'd smile and go red and she'd laugh. She wouldn't say anything. And I remember she strung me along. And right after high school, I remember we still hung out with friends. We went to clubs and bars together. And I remember, you know, she would go out with guys and make out with guys and blah, 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 but never with me. And I always held out. And then at one point I said, enough of this. And I remember once I was out and I picked up a girl, and then afterwards, the next day she calls me up and we go for a coffee, and she's like, she was really hurt by that and she has feelings for me and blah, blah, blah. And me, like an idiot, I I only sort of got on with that girl. I hadn't even really started dating her, but I really liked her for a long time, this girl from high school. And so what did I do? I stopped seeing that girl, or, you know, just didn't really pay much attention to her. And then again, was crushing on this girl. And then when she saw that I distanced myself with her, she went back to what she went back to later on. And then one night I remember, after we'd gone for a walk, as we, you know, as friends we hung out every now and then, I sort of aired myself and I said, you know what, like, I'm tired of this. I'm done. I can't remember what I said. And actually what happened was she kissed me as a way of kind of, I think in her way of keeping me not dating this girl. And then after the kiss, she looked at me, she could tell I had a weird look on my face. And I said, look, I'm sick of this. I'm done. You've only shown me this. You kissed me for the first time after you saw me drifting away. I found somebody. And like, I'm done. Like, I'm done with this. Like, do what you want. If you want to be with me, let me know. Otherwise, stop playing around with me. And I remember walking away. She didn't say anything because I'd never said anything like that. And I was really proud of myself. And I think that was the first time I remember standing up for myself with women and like really expressing what I felt. So I would encourage you guys to think about that and do as you wish. But that was really liberating for me. Needless to say, nothing happened. I'm glad it didn't. She wasn't a nice person. I mean, she was, but in terms of stringing someone along, but she was young as well. I was young. This is the thing. Can you really can look back on these women like when I was, 18, 19 years old, and like, oh, bad her. But fair enough if I'm talking about her now, in her 30s, 40s, 50s. That's a different story, but we're all young and naive. I really the accountability gets more and more serious for me as you get around 30. into your 30s, into your 40s. It's like, come on, man. People have got grown kids by the time they're in their 30s. You need to be kind of mature and rock solid. Your plasticity has hardened now. You know, you can't give someone a pass continually. Sam Saylor, thank you for the super chat donation. His comment is, good to see you thinking, man, back at work. It's good to be a free man thinking. Yeah, being able to speak and think and not just keep it in a notebook, not just keep it private, you know, with headphones on a microphone with some guys you hang out with, and 99% of your life out there with, you know, the supposed person you said you loved. You can't actually express this stuff to. Excuse me. Monterey Spike says, once one knows the truth, it will set you free. However, it does diminish things such as hope and romantic idealism. I can now look at people who are still searching for unicorns and smile at their naivety. There's also a grey area there. Is it look, people who are on biological autopilot and just going out there with a childish naivety out there and crossing their fingers saying all women are the same and all us men are the same. We're just biological creatures that we just want to procreate. And it's all a matter of luck. Yeah, you're looking for a unicorn. You're looking for the luck of unicorn, that nature will just, in pure and sheer luck, throw a woman in front of you and you just, pretty, want to go to bed with her. And she turns out to have a great personality later. She turns out not to sperm jack you. She turns out not to have a temper and, you know, be a psycho. That's looking for a unicorn. But I would actually contend, if you actually take as much control as you can and you're going, not dealing with that, I am letting 90% just go by like I'm looking at cars on a freeway. I'm not touching them anymore. I'm not on that freeway. I'm on this side road. This is the road for me. And barely any cars pass on this road. But the ones that do, I'll have a look. So, is that naive? The way in which you conduct yourself, not just how you think and rant on, you know, how I rant on videos or how we rant in comment section, where we're really expressing what we know to be right and true. When we actually start living and speaking that way and choosing those things, ethically making those choices, that's when it's less about the unicorn. There was a great comment. Where is it? I saved it. It was under the polls. Yeah, under this poll, right? There was a great comment by J. Paul. He said, I would love to win the long-term relationship lottery, but it's still just a lottery. And my response, I was thinking, it is, but when you're intentional about how you date now, I say it's like playing the lottery, but with the same numbers every week, and you buy the cheapest ticket. The smallest ticket, the same numbers every single week. And you don't count on the lottery. It's not, you know, you're not pausing your life. You're going on, you're living life, but you buy the smallest ticket and you play the exact same numbers. Those same numbers are your ethics, your principles, your boundaries, your yeses and nos, and you will not accept anything else. If you want to talk about unicorns, this is where you create your luck, but you don't live off it. I might make a video on that. So, because people keep talking about unicorns, if you are an autopilot, if you just believe that we've got no control whatsoever, that you can't say no to a woman, you can't say yes to what you want, you can't generate your life as much as you can. And I know there's a lot of stuff that's out of our control. There's so much of life out of our control. But the degree to which we can make choices and do things where we can feel alive and proud of being alive, because, like I said, when that old crush of mine when I was in high school kissed me finally, I realized I was tired of it. Even though she finally kissed me, I got the reward, and it was like, it's not a reward. This is stupid. This is, I was pissed off. I was like, enough of this. Like, I want to have fun in life. I don't want this carrot, this teasing. I don't want to be teased by life. I want to grab hold of it. You know, I never even liked, I know some guys love going to strip clubs. I never liked them. I don't like a girl standing there and wiggling around and teasing me, but I can't touch her. Like, some of the guy friends I had were like, oh, what's wrong with you, human? It's like, this is pointless. Like, yeah, you're dancing, you look beautiful, but it's teasing. It's looking at a beautiful car, but I can't jump in it and drive it and feel it. It's like, I don't want the surface of something. I want the depth of something. Especially stuff like that, that is meant to be experienced at depth. You know, if you want and love and like this is the kind of woman you want, you don't just want to look at her. You want to experience it. So, yeah, anyway. I don't even know how I got onto that rant. Feral Android says, I think 70,000 is the minimum now. What's this in relation to, Feral? Is this a salary that a woman will accept? Oh, look, Donna, when I say women, I'm not saying, oh, okay. If I let it slip, if I say all women, that's a slip of the tongue. When I say women, I'm generalizing. There are exceptions, right? There's the women I respect. You know, you're obviously different, Donna. I respect you. But I'm saying generally out there, it's the same with men. When you say men out there are sexually driven, men out there get drunk, and men out there whatever, I would agree with you. I'm a guy, but I don't place myself there. I think women in general, they got much more of a reflex to identify when someone mentions women, they see themselves as all women. Maybe it's got to do with women are very competitive with each other, directly competitive. They want to tear each other apart and be the best. They want to stand out. They want to be special amongst each other, and so they're always in there with each other. Women, each individual woman, reflexively identifies as part of all women. Whereas I don't think many guys do. We don't take it personally. Yeah, I'm a man, but it's kind of like if we hear, oh, this guy got thrown in prison, it's like, I don't identify with it. I think, yeah, he probably deserved it. When they make a true statement, oh, men are blah, 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 I'll go, yeah, most men are. But if they say every single man out there is like this without exception, it's like, yeah, that's stupid. I'm not. But I don't take it personally. I just think it's dumb because I know who I am. But if they start saying, oh, no, human, you are because that statement is true, it's like, well, I'm not. Like, I can prove it. I don't do any of that. Ted1775 says, human, what are we supposed to do given that there are no good women out there? Oh, there are. But it's kind of, there are so few of them and they get off on drama and chaos and they're too afraid to just be their mundane selves in the way a guy just wants to be accepted for him, the him that his friends accept. Because you want to just hang out with the girl you want to love. And that means on the couch doing nothing, the same way you do with every other person you care about in your life. So that's, I think, with me, where the rational compatibility, sort of how men and women should be getting along, how they used to more before. Yeah, there's practical things like, you know, if you want to start a family, the guy's got to be able to, especially while the kid's, when she's pregnant, the young years where the mother really needs to be with the kid, he needs to support the family, things like that. But predominantly, it's the character of the person and who they're like, because that's the majority of what you're tolerating. And it shouldn't even be tolerating. That's the majority of the time you feel comfortable with that. You enjoy it. You're grateful for that company. Not, yeah, she's beautiful, but I live a separate life aside from being with her in the bedroom. Or when we go out with people, we put on that smile, we're a happy, good-looking couple, we've got all the flashy stuff, and then the drive home, we're just kind of, grey and depressed. We don't look at each other. We don't talk about anything. We've got different points of view. And yeah, are you distracting yourself with holidays and idle chit chat? Could you replace your partner with anyone else? Would you want to? I did a video, if you won the lottery, if you really won the lottery, would you leave your partner? In the past, I could actually say, yeah, I'm free. I can do whatever I want and I could have anyone I want. Why would I want her? But you're in a place sometimes where like, this is good enough. I don't require much. I can't complain, blah, blah, blah. And then when you're rich, it's kind of like, yeah, I can't complain. I can have anything I want. And it's like, it makes you see that it's just an attitude. So even without the millions of dollars, in terms of just living the life I damn well should, where money really doesn't have anything to do with it, your self-respect comes first and foremost. It's like, yeah, let me just be the rich guy without the money in terms of my ethics and values. It's pretty simple when you think about it. It costs you nothing. Because also, if I were to win the lottery, I would still, in terms of women, I'll be even more paranoid, like she just loves me for my money now. So the first and foremost thing for me is still, I cannot be with someone who doesn't respect and like the person of who I am, and I have to like them. It cannot just be about looks between both of us. It cannot be just about the material. It cannot just be, that's all very tertiary. It's not even secondary. Values, character, friendship, trust, consistency, that stuff. It's funny how we know it's the glue, the only glue that's going to bind us together, but we think it's just going to happen. The honeymoon period's great. I really don't know much about her other than she's got a beautiful smile, a great body. We avoid serious topics. We've never fought, but we haven't actually talked about anything serious. Let's get married. It's just, yeah, we haven't walked through the minefield together, and let's not. Like, how about you walk through a minefield together and see if it's still good after that? If you help each other avoid minefield, if you both got the same map of how to navigate life. Remember, guys, if you want to ask a question or super chat, I'll see it regardless. If you just want to ask a question, put a whole bunch of emojis. Randall says, I'd love to have a real partner, a person even flawed, in front of me. But there are just pictures, attractive frames, and bun in the background, yeah. It is very hard out there. I will never, ever say anything that opposes that. Aaron says, I've been trying to explain this basic idea to people. Being courteous is so essential. Yeah, I think I heard once that smiling requires less muscles, less effort than frowning. I think it's like something, I don't know, I'm guessing, but it's like 30 or 40% more muscles are required to frown, the amount of energy you exert. It's just easier. Like, you want to be happy, be a happy person. You want to find someone to love, try and love someone. Again, you don't give everything, but don't hold that part of you back. And it's not kind of, I want to hold it back because she's so pretty. I know, like, it's too good to be true. Find out if it is true. Like, I don't know. I do know. I don't like that about myself where I say, I don't know at the end of something just to kind of be agreeable. Ted says, what are we supposed to do given that there are no good women out there? There are good women out there. Virtually none. But if your standards, if you've got very clear standards where there are no good women out there except for this standard that I want. So virtually there are no good women out there except for this standard that I want. And I will not accept anything other than that. And like I said, guy's standard is about the person. Be nice. Don't have a temper. Don't treat me like I'm guilty before, like see the person, like very basic human fair traits. If that's your standard, then yeah, women are like, there's almost no good women out there. But with that standard, at least that's a key that will serve you well. Whether you find a woman or not is beside the point. At least you'll have a good life. Alone with those standards, or if you're lucky enough to find a woman, because this is the thing. It's like when you look for jobs. You can look for a job, settle for a crappy job, and then you never look anymore. But if you've only got the antenna up of, no, I know what kind of job suits me, I will not just take any job for the money. I'm happy living on a poverty level until I find the right job for me. We should be that way, especially as we've been there and done that, and we know so much of this stuff. You pick the job that suits you. You're not like a naive teenager anymore. Most of my audience is middle age, give or take. So mid to late 20s, 30s, early 40s. That's the core of my audience. So around 30 plus or minus 5 to 10 years. So by that stage, I think we all should have been there and done that a little bit. Just the guy says, long-term traditional relationships are not without its pitfalls. You meet like-minded, interesting people, but why not start something on your terms without romantic idealism? A lot of this stuff is new territory. I'm not saying some of this stuff might not work for you, but our ancestors have been doing it relatively in a similar way for a while, and I'm not saying we need to, but to wholly start creating whole new theories, I think we need to tread lightly. Or if you know that you've tried everything else and it really doesn't work for you, yeah, give it a shot. Be sensible. Do whatever you want, but be sensible. The funniest thing for me is that guys and women complaining about the other gender, and they're lazy. They don't want to give anything. They don't want to change. They expect traditionalism, but they expect this other person to be, they want to be modern, but they expect the other person to be traditional. I've noticed it mostly from women. And the reason, again, for people who are new to my channel, the reason I talk relationships from a guy's point of view is because I'm a guy. I'm not gay. And so my experience and what I've learned and what I observe is women. I'm sure women experience their own crap from the average beer drinking autopilot Neanderthal out there. I'm sure there are, women have got their own complaints, but it's also how you go about these things. Again, there's these guys who go to strip clubs, drive too fast. I see them in my area. They do burnouts. These young guys with cars, powerful cars, and I joke with people I know. I say, yeah, this guy in 5 years, he's going to have like 2 or 3 kids by 2 or 3 different women. He'll be working in a factory and he'll be blaming the government for everything. It's kind of like there's a lazy, drunken autopilot way of going about life, or there's the more self-reliant, responsible way to conduct yourself and try and generate as much of your life as possible. And I advocate much more of that. But again, it's your life. It's not mine. You can do whatever you want, but it really comes out in the way you complain about things and how you speak about your complaints. Been on enough dates with women where you could see their complaining is their own doing. And I've heard enough, including myself in the mirror, when I was younger, complaining about stuff that really was my own doing. Dishwashing detergent. Joking. It's cooler cordial, or cooler lemonade for the Europeans and Americans. It's like that sweet syrup mixed with water. Aaron asks, Do you think the problem is humans have effectively domesticated ourselves? I think we're more animals now. I think we're less civilized because I consider I think each person thinks has a big ego and they're trying to domesticate the other sex like they're a pet, rather than being more civilized and understanding that we're adults and we need to sort of conduct ourselves like fair relating adults. Feral Android said, I tried dating for a month in 2020, 2 years after my divorce, decided it was a waste of time. Yeah, I've been there too, man. Dated, tried for a long period of time. You get off the dating apps, give yourself a breather because you just see the same women on there saying the same things. They got the same dating profiles you saw years ago. They're just going about. It's almost like they've put their resume up on LinkedIn or something, and it's like set and forget. It's like, no, you've got to actively be. And this is the thing I noticed. I'd go on dates intentionally, rewriting my profile, like really trying to represent what I felt and thought and who I was. And these women copy and pasted like a profile that they just kind of whipped up like 10 years ago, and they just keep repeating it, old photos. Or, oh, my friend wrote it for me. I copied and pasted this other profile that I thought was really cool. Or this profile did well. Or it's like, none of you take it seriously. No wonder. And what are you complaining about? That you can't find the guy you want? If you're not taking it seriously, why do you expect Chad, who just wants to bed you? Like, why should he be the mature one? Why should he take it seriously when you're not? Oh, because I'm a passive girl, and yeah. Both guys and girls, take it seriously. Like, if you treat anything like a hobby, you're going to get the results of a hobby. You take something seriously, you focus on it, and you think it's important, and you conduct yourself the same way, then you'll get those kind of results. Yeah, you may not sometimes, but the more you're focused on it, the more intentionally you date, the more you're going to get the intentional results. You'll get misfires. But if you're always focused, you got your hands on the steering wheel of how you're dating, you're not going to get like accidents happening as much. But if you just have these lazy core beliefs of nature and biology and women are like this and there's nothing I can do, then you're just relying on that. You are. And then when guys say men and women are the same, and I look at how the intent and how they're dating, I go, yeah, that's all true. I agree with you, but I don't do it that way. There's a lot of luck involved, but I'm trying to generate my own kind of luck. I'm trying to generate my own results. Why are my results better than yours? Oh, luck, human. You know what they point to? They point to things like they avoid everything and anything except the way I conduct myself intentionally. Yes, I know for my age, I take care of myself as much as I can. I'm an okay looking guy. I do the best with what I've got, but I also try and speak, like I try and make the best with what I have, right? And so if I'm consciously trying to do the best with what I have, I know there's not a lot of luck involved. There are some things like my height. I'm, nearly 6'2". There's the superficial stuff, but physically and mentally, I'm trying to put as much effort into bolstering that as possible. And I've said this to a lot of women who are naturally born beautiful, who, they've been through so many guys because they think that all they have to rely on is their looks. I say, well, all you have to do is be nice. Just be the kind of person you would want in a guy, personality-wise. You could have any guy you want, but you say, nah, I'm going to be a bitch. And it's almost like a game for these attractive women. It's like, look at this from high school. They're like, I am acting like the worst cow, and more guys find me interesting. The girls in my group, I'm the alpha chick. The bitchier I am, the more attention I get. But if you don't grow up and realize later on, like, you know what, if I actually change my attitude, I can have the more pick of men. I can have the best of the best if I'm not only beautiful, but I have a personality that stands out above everyone else. It's like, no, I'm going to have the personality of every dumb broad out there, I'm actually going to it's going to be a race to the bottom. I'm going to have the worst kind of guttural personality, but I'm going to up my looks. Why not up your looks and sort of just up your personality? Like, you don't have to go to the limit, just the bare minimum of a decent girl that's fair. Guys are trying to impress women with their personality. Guys are trying to exaggerate how nice they can be. All we require is a woman to be minimally nice. Just, it's amazing. But yeah, I don't think we've domesticated ourselves. I think we're trying to domesticate everyone else, but I think we've become more and more animals. Martial Arts Oriental Medicine, how are you? He says, I'm exhausted, lose interest to be around people. The college I work at, internal clinic, mostly women, just feel like a mad scientist observing them as rats. How can I be in harmony and let go? Well, at least being exposed to all these crazies will give you a good reference point when someone who's very different crosses your path. The more you see the same traffic pass you on the freeway, and then on your little road, a car goes slower and stops, you go, well, this is very different. I mean, you still need to vet different women that show themselves to be different from the crowd, but at least there's less chance of them fooling you. Because if you just go for the average pretty person that everyone holds up as the prize these days, you're just going to get the same bad luck. But at least you're being exposed to the same trash. So look at it as a positive, Martial Arts Oriental Medicine. Jake says, do you think being a Chad is good for choice, but not so much for no strings attached? I'm realizing being Chad is good for finding a quality mate, not so much for meaningless sex. Yeah. I went through a period, like in my late 20s, I was all about gym, going to the gym, looking good, got my body fat down. I was clubbing all the time, and I had a lot of fun with good-looking women. But who I am, I was constantly, I got tired very quickly. I think I did it for a couple of years, but then it was like, yeah, this is like starting from zero again. It was like what I mentioned in the recent video. I was complaining about what I was willfully doing. So, yeah, I'd agree. If you're not a Chad, I don't think you can lie to yourself. You can kind of be on holiday and be Chad because you superficially look that way. I remember one girl that I had a serious relationship. I'm pretty sure she got with me because of the way I looked or what she thought I was like. But when she met me, I was more interesting because I was not like what she expected. She expected me to be rough and inarticulate, but I was very different as a personality. And I think that kept her there during the honeymoon period, but later on, it's what drove us apart. I was too boring for her. She wanted the kind of bad boy, and I'm not a bad boy. To her, I looked like a bad boy. That was her words. Sorry, I'm making noise clicking this thing. Aeneas137 says, the best couples just haven't failed yet, but give her a chance. You don't want to be so pessimistic that you expect failure. Otherwise, why try anything? I wouldn't try anything that if I convinced myself that everything was going to fail. Look, you can realistically know that I know I'm going to die one day. Like, that's inevitable. Like, you can't wishful think your way around that. But the time that you have when there's a lot of luck involved that you can't do anything about and within sort of life that you can control, make the most of trying to make yourself feel alive and generate as much good luck as you can by the way you conduct yourself. Hey, Karu, how are you, man? Hey, Plan B. Karu says, guys aren't looking for unicorns. They are looking for things they can't get or are bad for them. However, they don't have the honesty to admit it. Yeah, sometimes the If you say to yourself, they're all unicorns, then it gives you the free pass to just pick the short-term thrill, the hot mess that you know is not going to last. Really, that's realistic. If I say like it's too hard, they're all a mess out there, which the majority are, if you're not actually conducting yourself via standards by which you say, okay, these chicks are just fun. These very rare women that I barely, if ever, come across are only there to consider as relationships. If you can actually be more realistic and you say, okay, I'm single, she's hot, we're both open and honest, and it's a friends with benefits, whatever. But I think most guys, they live in wishful thinking, that they convince themselves in a lazy way that they don't want to put in effort, they don't want to think and act better and speak better, and try and intentionally try and find, you know, the rare person that fits with them for a relationship, and then say, okay, these chicks are my fetish. It's how realistic you're going to be. But most guys, I think, are just like, oh, this is what's hot, and it's all about if I stumble across a hot chick that happens to be a nice person, that happens to just roll into kids and marriage and long-term and love and stuff. It's like, it's a whole lot of luck and realistically a lifetime of disappointment. Guys just get worn out by wasting time being on autopilot. Hold the steering wheel a bit more, guys. Hold the steering wheel a bit more. Mark says, is it just me, or when dealing with young women nowadays, most of them are down to, you know what, but are also in relationships with life partners? Yeah, there's a lot more cheating, lying, not going by morals, going with the flow because everyone's doing it. They can see the fun that other women are supposedly having on Instagram. These free women that aren't bound to anything. A lot is hidden. You can be anonymous. OnlyFans, blah, blah. Like, it's just everyone's having fun. But somehow I think a lot of people, especially women, feel like if they don't let themselves free and do whatever they feel and have secret lives here and there and just enjoy as much as they can and lie and have multiple partners, multiple lives, have no limits, no filters, even limits by what you promise to people that are in your life, then you're going to make the most of life. But that starts to come unraveled. And that's where you see these women online. There's like, oh my God, my kids' friends saw me on OnlyFans. Oh, my family found out about this. And it's like, yeah, well, that's where you were crossing your fingers and you wanted to have it all without any consequence. So there's no freedom without responsibility. If you factor it in and you still go ahead, well, your eyes were open. But don't pretend to me it's like, I had no idea that, riding the carousel for this many years and it's all men's fault. It's not. You knew what you were doing. You felt what you were doing, even if you couldn't verbalize it. It's easy to ignore the conversations you don't want to have them. You want to be over here having fun with all these other idiots because you all agree they're like, oh, it's out of our control. Let's just, get drunk. And whatever happens, happens. And then when we're sober, we don't go over there and take responsibility. We sort of go in the middle and go, well, now I'm sober. Like, yeah, it's all women's or men's fault. It's everything else, but it's never this guy's fault. Could I have done it better? Next time, maybe I'm not going to drink as much. Maybe I don't drink at all. No, I love doing that. Oh, well, you get the consequences of when you love doing that without putting your hands on the steering wheel at least a little bit. Clint Eastwood says, oh, strip clubs are pointless. I love your emojis, Clint Eastwood. I'm copying them. Where'd you get them from? They're awesome. They're not emojis, are they? They're custom icons. I can't copy them. I like them. They're really cool. What are they? Are they just images? How did you get them in the stream? Let me know. Aaron says, yeah, I always thought strip clubs were weird as F. Yeah, I think, especially today, they're kind of pointless. You don't have to be teased. You can just get it all, pretty much. There are so many women giving themselves away, acting like the lowest common denominator, that you really don't need to go to strip clubs. You've got online, even just to look at women. Why? And I can pick and choose. You don't have to wait there and buy beers and sit in a depressive place with a whole bunch of other guys. You can be at home and just keep clicking on exactly the kind of woman you want whenever you want. You can freeze it. You can replay the same thing. And you don't have to keep putting $50 bills in a G-string. Crummy VCR says, human, because most people have terrible standards. You often get the, but women are amazing. That's why people think you're crazy for thing how you do. Clint Eastwood says, I learned a new fun trick. Try it out. In conversation, say, I feel instead of I think, even if you think. Yeah, like, I understand, guys. I understand what. No wonder people are avoiding dating. In my recent video, this one, I was reflecting on like how I felt, even recently, a couple of years ago, when I just kind of just switched off all my dating apps. I was just done with it. It's like I'm wasting so much mental energy checking apps every day or two, and like, oh, there's a few, possibility, carrot taken away, the rug pulled from under you. This looks good, they ghost you. Or you're optimistic and you get there and the reality does not resemble your anticipated fantasy. And it's just like, let me just have some reality. I'm tired of this fantasy world. None of it's eventuating into anything real. And then this prior video, like when nightclubs now are banning you even looking, like they're trying to get rid of the only real ways that have worked for so long, like looking at a person, telling that they like you because they're smiling, they're looking at you too. You're learning the nuances of humans, body language, verbal cues like facial responses, things like that. And then talking to someone, talking, just not just typing, not LOLs, not acronyms, and just talking to a person normally. Hi, how are you? Blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, just, they're trying to get rid of people getting together. It's just people are just living alone, anticipating fantasies of relationships in their own head that will never happen because you're just having continual reruns of fantasies that never happen. One step forward, back to zero. One step forward, back to zero. You're not taking 2, 3, 4 steps back in the day. You meet someone, you take a few steps forward, like 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20. Didn't work out. And that was even before it got to commitment. You date for a few weeks. Now people are just kind of hanging out for a few weeks, banging each other. Yeah, people have terrible standards, I agree. Or they'll voice their standards, but they won't actually talk and act their standards. And you feel like you realize that this stuff only matters if you try as much as you can to act upon it. Otherwise, you look ridiculous. You look ridiculous where it doesn't matter, like in front of a person you like in a relationship. You don't talk and you don't actually act and insist on these things in intimate relationships. But you do insist, like this idealized romantic movie that you're not in, when you're single amongst friends and you say, yeah, it should be this way between men and women. Why are men like this? Why are women like this? It's like, do you talk like that honestly in front of potential things? Not rants, but really just voicing and saying like, I really believe this. I'm tired of this. Be honest about things. I think most people don't. They go on autopilot and try and keep everything lighthearted. They don't talk about anything serious. And like I said in my previous videos, I don't mean make it like an interview, but be lighthearted. You smile, make it enjoyable, but really try and discover if this person's real. I got tired of it always disappointing me. It was never real. It was never even 20% of my optimism in my head going on the date. After the date, it was like, yeah, it never reaches past 20% of my kind of standards. And I don't want much. Like, I already knew I liked the way she looked. That's why I went on the date. And a few things of how she described herself or the chats was like, yeah, as an introduction, it seems it seems optimistic, you know, there's potential. And you go there like, no, it's not going anywhere. I was just tired of the disappointment because it never went above the bar of realistic compatibility. Not even just general. Like, this person's a nice, thinking, responsible, just reflective, right? Just a reflective person that can just talk about everyday life. I don't want to cross my fingers and give them the benefit of the doubt like I just kept doing over and over again. Oh, maybe they're shy. Maybe they're going to turn into this person. Let me always excuse their behavior or what they said. Oh, it could be this. It could be that. It could, like, no. Ask her on the date. What do you mean by that? Find out. Stop letting the relationship continue past those few dates, past the honeymoon, because you're always excusing what she says and her behavior and what you feel to be true without asking. So then you know it to be true. Stop doing that. Again, this is me talking to myself, right? I'm not telling you what to do, but this was how I started to conduct myself, because I got tired. And like, I knew I was still attracted to women. I was just tired with doing it the same way. It's like, you do it the same way and you get awful results and it just drains you. It's like, I'm not going to look, let me try doing it a different way. Because I don't want to start not liking something I naturally like because I'm just doing it the same way without any good results. Let me try different results, different perspectives, different modes of doing things, more sensible ways to approach dating and how I speak and how honest I am. You know, am I dating where I actually respect myself afterwards, as in I actually spoke up about that. I felt weird and actually said something about it. I stood up for myself. I asked her questions where really I had a feeling and I wanted to know, but in the past, I kept my mouth shut because I didn't want to scare her away. Are you conducting yourself better and better each time? Are you someone that afterwards, when you assess the dates, if you were listening to yourself like, oh, so human, how did it go? Well, blah, blah, blah. And this, like, you're openly and honestly talking to yourself about how it went and what you did and didn't say. Chaz says, that point on disconnection from your girlfriend, that way hits home with my ex-wife. You're on in public and then at home, it's just nada. Yeah, my first serious relationship, I remember it was like that. We didn't talk, we were arguing, we ghosted each other, living together. It was just really depressing and grey. And then we get ready to go out to a party and she'd be like, well, it's like, she'd be full of colour. And I'd look at her, I'm like, where did this come from? How can you switch your personality on and off like a light switch? And in front of everyone else, in front of the girls, it's all amazing. It's great, fantastic. You're gorgeous. You're beautiful. Your dress is amazing. We get in the car after the party, silence. Again, back to depression. Vish. Clint Eastwood says, have you ever gone on a date you wanted to work out super badly, but you learnt out their truths and got turned off? Yeah. But at the same time, I really like it being real. I can't lie to myself. Like, I can't ignore things. I feel most alive when everything's out on the table. I really do. I feel most free. Guys talk about freedom. How free a lot of these guys convincing themselves that all women are like this and I can't do this and there's all these limitations. For me, liberation and a lot of freedom comes from just being so honest that there's no stone unturned and like, okay, this is honest now. From my end, I'm really motivated to see her exactly as she is, because it's either I want to like the real person, otherwise I don't want to like a fantasy. I don't want to waste my time pretending. It's like if you really get off on Ferraris, but you're like a kid on your push bike going brrr, brrr. It's like, dude, come on, get a car. It's like, no, I can get on my bike and go brrr. I can put a cape on and pretend to be Superman. It's like, make it as realistic as possible. Then you feel great and you feel more self-assured, and you don't have to lie and say, how's life with the girlfriend? Like, great. You have to plaster a smile on your face for appearances. No, thank you. Any more comments, guys? Some funny comments. Feral Android says, just be like DiCaprio. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people have been making videos about DiCaprio. Let's see. Some comments under the last few videos. David P. under the video, no, actually, David's comment was related to, I think it was the poll. He said, I'm tired of being told you have to conform to what I want in a partner. No, I don't. There are certain things I will do for the good of the relationships, even if I personally come out on the losing end, but I will not compromise my core values. Good for you. That's exactly what I'm preaching. If you can't respect yourself, what's the point of respecting and loving Pumpkin, making sure that other people respect and love you? But the person you spend the most time with, where you sit and feel all the time, you're sitting in a horrible place where you're ashamed of yourself. Be proud of yourself, and then afterwards give the residue of everything else to the people in your life. Because if you're proud of yourself, you'll start to demand, like, you'll love that feeling of being proud of yourself for the right reasons. And then you demand that I want to feel proud of my girlfriend, my wife, my friends and stuff. You'll start to see where you have just supplicated yourself to everyone just to be loved or just to have company. You respect and like yourself, you'll start to need it in other people too, because you really appreciate it in you. Does that make sense? Under this video, I think Random Dating, the last one, Nadine says, I've heard so many men voice the same complaint. I suspect contemporary dating where women prevent things from going anywhere appeals to most women because they can keep their nearly endless options open. Thus, ever since women started dictating cultural norms, it's only a matter of time before they start preventing dating from going anywhere. Yeah, if women are enjoying their endless options, then dating never goes anywhere. That's a great point, Nadine. So it's a woman's world where we can shop as much as we want. There's never any consequences. We never have to choose. We've got all these guys who want there's all these potential guys who want to be with us. Never-ending options that we never choose. Dating never goes anywhere because it's fun never choosing. You stay young. You're always dating. You always got a thrill of new, potential, new, but never the satisfaction of choice. We have lost the satisfaction of choice, and we've replaced it with the temporary satisfaction of new, variety, potential. Maybe Cinderella, maybe this time. The unguided millennial says, this is the best description of getting older I've heard verbalized, not just with women, but in life in general. Yeah, I guess that's true. I thought about it. It was just I wanted to make a off the cuff unscripted video about just the landscape, the way I see it, and how I just got tired of dating. It's got to do with age as well, because the way people date today is very different from the more tactile, old school methods of, you know, face to face that I was used to. Olu Bosiri Ojo says, sex was never meant to be abused the way we do it nowadays. Yeah. D says, in terms of this video here, he says, gentlemen, vote with your wallets and do not go to nightclubs anymore. All they want is women staring at each other. Am I in focus? That's better. Robert E, with the same video, says, according to various reports on the internet, Netflix has a harassment policy that defines staring as looking at another person for longer than 5 seconds. I swear, they're trying to be so perfect to make the most insecure people that, frankly, I think need to toughen up a bit. Like, we're trying to sterilize, make absolute safety out of things in life that will never be safe. And are parts of life where you can actually find yourself in terms of where my standards are. If a guy talks to you, ladies, that you don't like, or stares at you and approaches you, can't you do like my mother and grandparents used to do and say, F off, moron, like if they're being rude, or no thank you, and if he doesn't go away, then you can up your bitchiness and tell him to F off? Why does the world have to, like, everything is just being, like, they're wanting these rules to hand women the perfect love story like a bouquet of flowers? Like, only the Chads approach me. No geeks and unworthy guys ever look at me, and I don't want to see them looking at me. Discounting the fact that you might look beautiful and attractive, but no, I don't care. Only the best guys look at me. I'm invisible to everyone else. That's impossible, you moron. If you're beautiful, the majority of people are going to look at you. Well, I don't want them to. I don't care what you want. You know, the most popular artwork, you got, it's so dumb. It's like, we only want Picassos to catch the eyes of these people. Oh, so dumb. So dumb. IQs have just dropped. Yoda commented, one of the members, which I encourage everyone to join the channel at whatever tier you want. It helps the channel out. He says, here's a few solutions. Move nightclubs into churches, separate them by gender, or simply shut them down completely. Yeah, they're getting so sterilized. There's no point. Like, the whole point of going to a nightclub is being taken away now. Why would you go to a nightclub? Because I really want to hook up with feminists. That's pretty much what it is. I really want to go to a place and pick up the most insecure women, the most dangerous insecure women that would take me to court and ruin my life. They're the kind of women I want to go to, and that's what this club caters to. At least they're telegraphing the kind of, if you go to that club as a guy, you are going to get the most dangerous women to chat up. Justin Patterson says, about my video, when will he change? If you don't like me as I am, do you even like me? Or am I just another project to be worked on? Yeah, this was my previous video last week, I think it was, where women are just always, they're just never, they're passively never satisfied. They're disgruntled with the guy they get, and they'll say, yeah, he's great raw material for later. He'll change. You just wait. Once he's fallen for me, then I can reveal who I am. Michael F., on an older video about ultimatums I made, he says, the stealth ultimatum is the worst. Where she says, where is this relationship going? My response is that it's not a train. It's a station. What we had was not a journey, it was the destination. We are going nowhere because we have already arrived. Exactly. Whenever women gave me the ultimatum of where's this relationship going, or if we're not married by this time in 3 years, then what am I doing here? I would say then go. Like, I feel like I'm at the destination now, like you. That's all I want. And we can organically move forward in life and agree on these things. Or if one person's at a certain point before the other, you might need to wait a bit. But if we're always talking and we're on the same page, you should not always be dissatisfied until we get to your next station, and then the next station, and then the next station. This isn't a train going to stations. We are not on a train. We are put in a home, dating each other or whatever. Like, it's not going anywhere. This is as good as it gets. And if you're always dissatisfied, please get on another train. Get off my lawn. Drums and Bass says about my last week's videos, why should I change? I was actually about the stream, why should I change? He says, oh, I think I said in the stream, which I reiterated in this stream at the start, when I say, you're not lovable because you don't want to give love. And he said, that sums up my ex in a nutshell. All these women complaining, give me love, do this. Why don't you do this? The relationship's not here yet. It's like, can you give something for once and stop demanding that this is a one-way street of me to you all the effing time? The Faded Hero says, this is how most of my relationships have ended. They always begin with me clearly laying out my expectations and needs, and the woman saying something to the effect of, oh, that's it? That's totally what I want too. And then somewhere between 6 months and 2 years in, they let every standard they agree to slide and can't seem to understand why I'm no longer happy. It's as though they all agree to the relationship standards with the assumption that they'll only need to maintain them long enough for men to decide full commitment, and are shocked when the spell breaks and they can call out their lack of effort. And we call out their lack of effort. Yeah. It's like, you promised this. No, I didn't. Oh, that was, I changed my mind. I can't remember saying that. Laviri says, about the comment about psychedelics and women's realities. Well, it's not very hidden that even your average sane and reasonable woman lives at least one peg, if not more, in social reality as compared to the actual boring reality of men have to deal with. Put a group of women anywhere and you'll quickly see most of them will start to create a sort of social hive mind reality of circle, and the average woman will push it forward instead of the real reality, which she actually might be in favor of if she was out of sight of her social group. Yeah, hive mind. Under the recent poll, in terms of relationships, which appeals to you more? Most people said serious and long-term. A good number said no relationship at all or casual. But yeah, it's just less headaches. If you can find something that lasts, the chances are, if you're a person that speaks up and doesn't want to be somewhere that's not suited to you, you won't be in that long-term relationship. So yeah, I'm in this camp here, the 53%. Lateral Vampire Potbelly says, I would prefer a long-term relationship, but since a significant fraction of modern women seem to think that a relationship means they should be treated like royalty just because they deign to spend time with you, that you want to spend time with them, I essentially stopped trying to have one. I am open to meeting new people and giving every woman a fair shake, but now that I'm a little older, it's much easier to spot the red flags, and I spot them almost immediately. So mostly I just keep quiet and keep to myself. The fact that I find myself more at peace than ever before is an added side effect. Richard added to that. It's rather depressing when you spot the red flags nearly all the time, and each time you meet someone new. Yeah, it's just red flag after red flag. But again, vet them before, start to see the signs of, like, this person doesn't prick up any compatibility with me. They're just another pretty random woman that I'm crossing my fingers for. Don't be there. Try to be impressed by some virtue that correlates with your virtues and what you find important in terms of temperament and what they find important. Profiles with nothing said profiles that sound like every other bimbo, just next. If you want meaning with a woman, start to look for meaning in her profile at the very minimum. And then when you speak to her before you get to the date, at least there's some sort of realistic optimism. And if nothing comes of it, at least chances are it'll turn out better. At least you'll meet someone that's relatively okay, and you'll have a good time on a date, even if it just ends up being platonic. That guy, Pete, you refuse to invite to gatherings, says under this, he says, in terms of this poll, he says, easy long-term, but that's asking a lot in the Western world in 2022. I agree. The chances will be slightly greater if you really narrow what you will and won't accept without exception anymore. The exceptions, like outside of what's compatible and real to you, there's a lot of fun to be had, a lot of throwaway junk food. You know, McDonald's is great, but if you're tired of McDonald's and you really want to be healthy, you just have to go cold turkey. You have to say, I love McDonald's. I love, Taco Bell and whatever else your favorite junk food is. But it's like, I made a stance, no more junk food. That's it. I'm cooking my own meals. I'm putting my hands on the steering wheel. I will not eat any more junk food. That's it from this point onward. But the moment you say, oh, well, every now and then I will, it becomes too easy. Create your own luck. Esteban says, I wonder how the categories would break down by age. As a younger man, long-term seems more appealing. Yeah. Look, I would say as a younger guy, short-term is more appealing. I think as you get older, I know for me, long-term it's either long-term or nothing. J. Paul says, I would love to win the lottery long-term. I would love to win the long-term relationship lottery, but it's just a lottery. And this is where I said I said, play the same numbers in your lottery and you'll get a better chance of winning your lottery. But get on with your life. So you buy that cheap ticket and play exactly the same numbers. They're your standards. And that's the only way you leave yourself open to winning that unicorn. David P says, I want serious and long-term. The challenge I'm having is I'm in my 50s and I prefer younger women, so my dating pool is already small. I don't want kids. Pool gets even smaller. Smaller still. Of those women who make the preliminary cut, I have to weed out the gold diggers and crazies. By this time, there are very few who meet my quality standards, which is fine because I'd rather date for quality than quantity. Exactly. This is what I'm saying all along. He continues, I've learnt to cultivate a life I love and enjoy on my own, and if I meet someone who will enhance it, that's great. If not, oh well. Exactly. David encapsulates my ethos in a nutshell. That's what I really advocate and what I do myself. Red Rusty Hill, I hate the term dating. I'm an adult, not a teenager. I agree. I was actually, whenever I make these kind of videos, because what else are you supposed to say? Hooking up, getting together. I look for synonyms to dating. I can't find anything. I can't find one word that would suit someone middle-aged and older. Because girlfriend, I don't like girlfriend. Partner can mean business partner. It can mean anything. So please, aside from dating, what's a one word that doesn't sound cringy that's very common? I don't know. I can't think of anything. In terms of comments to the other videos, I think I've read them. So if there's any last comments, guys, please make them in the super chat, or in this in the live stream if you're here. Otherwise, let's wrap it up. We've been going for an hour and a half already, and I have to be somewhere after this. It's Father's Day, so going to the cemetery to wish Dad happy Father's Day and catch up with family. Just the Guy says, you're right about people in non-traditional relationships expecting the other to be traditional. It's not fair and kind of funny. And it's trying to eat your cake and have it too. It's stupid. It's you expect much more from other people to give to the relationships than you do. If you want a relationship, take care of the relationship. Don't just focus on the person. It's not necessarily about them. It's about you. Like, you have to find the kind of relationship you want important and keep cultivating it. You can't just, like, she's got to be hot. She's got to be like, there's all the values and everything that you need to pay attention to. But once you're in a relationship, you both have to take care of the relationship. And you can't be that one-way street. I'm not going to give, but my idea of relationship is I just keep getting and you keep giving. And it doesn't matter if you're one of these PUA guys that expect a woman just to adopt your frame and she just gives to you all the time and you give nothing. You maintain your individuality in your world and you don't actually give anything to her because she's got to come in your frame any more than these women who expect men to go into their frame. It's all about what the woman wants. That's what a woman's frame is. And that's what most guys rightly complain about. It's got to be all about what she wants and nothing about what you want. And you should be grateful that she throws you a bone. So it's both parties. Both parties just want the other person to adopt their frame and they're not going to give anything. You're not going to feel love and trust if it's not a reciprocal tennis match. And you're not going to get there if you don't realistically approach dating and compatible personalities. Okay, any last questions, guys? Yeah, today, Elusive Man says dating today's catch and release. Pretty much. Pretty much. Anyway, guys, any last super chats or questions? If you do, chuck them to me in the next 20 seconds. Otherwise, I'm going to call it a day. And yeah, hope you guys have a good Sunday for you guys in Australia. The rest of you in Europe, you're probably sleeping right now or you're just waking up. In America, it's Saturday night. Enjoy your Saturday night. For any of you who have a microphone, you know how to use Discord, jump on my Discord and have a chat with some other guys. I won't be able to sort of make today's chat, but I think a whole bunch of really cool guys like Boffin, Rocket Scientist, Karu sometimes, jump on and have a good conversation. But I'll catch you in the next video. Like, subscribe, join, and keep the comments coming. Had some really good comments under the recent couple of videos this week. And I hope you're enjoying the thumbnails. I'm getting back into illustration again. I set up my Cintiq that had dust all over it. It was sitting in the spare room. I've set it up on my dining table. So now I'm going to try and draw as much as I can. And some of these drawings will make their way to thumbnails just to be a bit different to the rest. And I enjoy drawing. It's an excuse to sort of be more productive drawing. So anyway, guys have a good weekend. And remember, if we can't even look at someone, how are we supposed to get to know them? Have a good weekend. Catch you later. And bye.